Coming up on the CHGO Cubs Podcast presented by Toyota and Bet365. Well, they went from a desert high to the old deja vu bullpen blues. The Cubs blow one to the Diamondbacks on Sunday. We'll have your therapy session starting next. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? This is the CHGO Cubs Podcast driven by Toyota. Let's go places and Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. Use the code CHGO365 at sign up. Cubs had a game, they had a series, and they absolutely blew it. Diamondbacks win 10-6, an 8-run, bottom of the 8th for the Diamondbacks. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo with you. Kevin Wells will join us before the show is over. We are up and live, by the way, on our new CHGO Cubs YouTube channel. And so if you haven't subscribed to that yet, make sure you do. We launched it Thursday. We launched it, I think. And so it's just been up. It's all Cubs content. It's just our shows. It's just our VODs. It's just our
VODs.
Shorts.
VODs. Thank you.
Bodies.
Yeah.
I call them bodies. Anyways, please go ahead and subscribe. Give a thumbs up.
Please.
Help the algorithm.
And the link, if you're on the regular CHGO Sports channel, the link should be in the description for the new channel.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Sarah's running the 1s and 2s. By the way, we do have, in the midst of this gloom and doom of a Sunday disaster for the Cubs, if we do get to 1,500 subscribers, which we're not that far away, every 500, we're dropping a new shirt in our merch store. So we've already got a couple of them there. Hopefully we can get to 1,500. So those would be the 3 so far. The hot dog one is up and available for purchase. The gray CHGO Brawler is up and available for purchase. And then the kind of old 80s throwback road, similar to what Cody's wearing in the tank top, that'll be the next one that's available for purchase as soon as we hit 1,500. So make sure you check out the new YouTube channel. We appreciate that. Here, our first segment is called What's Brewing, all right? Brought to you by the new Sam Adams American Light, cold, crisp, and refreshing. Game day just got better. And it was all of that. Sunday was just cruising along. We're going to break down this show into, first we'll talk about the game, then we'll talk about the series, we'll look ahead to what's going on. But in this game, everything was going well, Cody. Dansby Swanson hit one as far as you can hit one in Arizona. Then Seiya Suzuki, who had struck out in half of his plate appearances this year, hits a home run the opposite direction, about as far as you can hit it. And I thought, well, this is their game. Matthew Boyd goes 5 scoreless innings. Everything's wonderful. It gets to the bullpen, and Kyle Tucker hits a 3-run homer where you say, finally the breathing room. We don't have to worry about the bullpen blowing it like they almost did the night before.
Hold my Sam Light beer.
Hold my Sam Adams American Light beer bat chug. Yeah. I'm not going to be doing it today because they gave up 10 runs, including 8 in the 8th inning. Yeah. An 8-run bottom of the 8th. We had to change the whole show.
Yep. Dude,
I know the chat's mad.
I'm mad
I don't even want to look
man.
at it because I know the live YouTube chat on our new channel is furious.
I'm mad. I'm mad. I'm frustrated, and it's like a very familiar feeling, especially these last 2 seasons at the very beginning of the year, as well as they played in April last year. If you go back to a bunch of those games in April last year, they lost games that they probably should have won, and you can file this one as the first one that the Cubs gave away in 2025. So, I'm mad. I'm annoyed. I'm actually. My tone isn't coming off as mad. I'm more so annoyed than I am mad because I think mad is not that you shouldn't overreact to this game because you led 6-2 and you lost 10-6. But I'm like it's March 30th.
Yeah.
But this is certainly a game that we could certainly be sitting here back in, sitting here in September thinking about, kind of like the game against the Padres last year where they were leading 8-0 and lost, right? This is certainly a game that we'll be sitting in September, perhaps, if things don't go, if they're in a tight race and they miss the playoffs by a game or whatever. This is a game that I know a lot of people will remember because this is the first true pain of the season.
Chalk it up, yeah.
So
remember when they lost in Japan both games at the first post-game show, we said, listen, don't worry about it. The games, we know the games shouldn't have counted, but they do, yada, yada, yada. And we said, if it comes down to them not making the playoffs and you could go back and you're blaming the 2 games in Japan, that'll never happen because there'll be plenty of opportunities to point your finger at other games.
Yeah.
Exhibit A.
Yeah. No, this is a game where it's frustrating because I came into this series hoping to just split. Diamondbacks are a really good team. Really good team. They're going to be right there, probably near the top of the wild card because they're in the NL West and no one's going to beat the Dodgers, and I don't think anyone has beat them yet, to be honest. But their offense displayed all weekend why they're one of the best offenses in baseball. And you had a chance in the 8th inning before everything happened. You were, 6 outs away from winning 3 out of 4 in your first series stateside and getting back to 500. Kyle Tucker hit 2 home runs for you this weekend. Seiya Suzuki went yard today after struggling these first handful of games. Dansby Swanson even gave you something on the offensive side. You got good defense all weekend. Matt Boyd showed up and played well for you, pitched well for you.
Everything.
Right? Like even in the win last night. I know we're going to talk about the series next segment, but like Presley struggled in the 9th inning yesterday. So it's like the only person in the bullpen right now after this very small sample size of 5 games is Porter Hodge. That's just and I know
Can't pitch every day.
You're right, and I know Tyson Miller's hurt. I know, the ass man is hurt as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what role he would have been in, but they have some injuries. I'm not using that as an excuse, but it's a very eerie, familiar feeling. Now, the thing is, can they get this bullpen right before June? Because that's where it feels like these last 2 years, they finally figure the bullpen out and get guys in roles in. They got to get it done before May, right? Like they got to get this figured out before May at the latest, in my opinion. But yeah, it feels like you gave one away that you should have won. And if they won 3 out of 4, you go to Sacramento tomorrow, and like we would have been riding high here on this post game. Instead, it's just like I'm honest, like I am mad. But I'm also just like not surprised. I'm like a dad right now, just like disappointed. Like it didn't have to be like this. If you had just, maybe invested a little bit more in your bullpen or something. I'm not saying that you should have thrown all the money at Tanner Scott because I wasn't the massive advocate to go get him. But I am saying that you don't have to go out and try and get a bunch of, diamonds in the rough either. Like you had a lot of questions in this bullpen coming the year, and my big pro on it altogether for sure was that you had more depth. So that is the good news, because if Nate Pearson sucks again in his next appearance, or Eli Morgan has another bad outing, then you have the ability to option one of those 2 guys and bring up someone that's down there. I don't know if those options will be any better, but all I know is that they got to get it figured out before May, because the last 2 years it's taken 2 months to get this bullpen figured out. I'm willing to let them mix and match in April, as tough as this schedule is. And I only say that because most teams are doing the same thing, but they got to get this bullpen figured out sooner rather than later. And the good news, at least for the closer situation, is that I think that you have a second option that is shown that he can do it if Presley continues to struggle.
Let me say this as clearly as I can for all the Cubs fans that are out there. Let me just lay it out on the line, because every Cubs fan is thinking it. Julian Merriweather was not available because he got up twice the last 2 days. Mm-hmm. But when you hit 3 home runs on the road and your starting pitcher goes 5 scoreless innings, you cannot ever, under any circumstances, have your bullpen walk 6 guys in 3 innings. You're never going to win that game. I was sitting there thinking to myself, wow, they're lucky they keep walking the leadoff guy. 4 straight innings they walked the leadoff guy. 3 of them by the bullpen. You can't walk the leadoff guy in 3 straight innings and get away with it. I thought they were going to, and then the Diamondbacks said, no, we're too good, and here's 8 runs. How do you like that? Yeah. And it was this, and for everybody that's in the live YouTube chat, it was the same game that we watched 26 times last year. Mm-hmm. Over and over. But you cannot walk. You can't give up 9 walks in a game.
Yeah. The difference in this one compared to what you're saying, blowing 26 saves last year, is you didn't even get to I guess Hodge and Presley weren't available today.
Right, and neither was Merriweather because you've been pitching them.
So it's like, okay, who would have actually closed this game if you would have got to that point? I don't know.
That's what everybody in the chat saying the bullpen's still not there. And I know there's injuries, and I know guys weren't available. But the guys that come in, when you have a 10-2 lead or whatever it was, you can't have
6-2.
You can't have 5 scoreless innings from your starter and give up 6 walks in the bullpen in 3 innings.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's
like the walks are what killed you. It's not the meat pitches that you laid right over the plate.
Yeah,
you can argue about those too, but when you give them 6 free base runners,
that 8th inning,
it's like, why don't you just have them start with runners at second base while you're at it?
8th inning started with back-to-back walks.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just
they were lucky enough to strike out Eugenio Suarez with the bases loaded, because as soon as when you walk the guy before him, you're like,
yeah,
the guy's only got 4 home runs this series. Mm-hmm. So the Diamondbacks kept giving you chances, and all the Cubs kept doing was walking more guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
mind-numbing. It's a mind-numbing game to watch.
Yeah, no, I don't know, man. The whole Merriweather thing is very weird to me.
Well, I guess he was up, according to counsel after the game with the reporters, he was up twice the last 2 days. I can't explain why or what the scenario was.
Why he was up on Friday when
why
they lost.
Would he be up Friday when they lost 8-1 or whatever?
I mean, I think context with that matters, and the fact of like, did you get him up in like the 4th or 5th inning before it got to as far as it was? Because it was a close game, and then Tyone gave up the 2 homers to Suarez.
He just said he didn't recover, I think is what he said. So back-to-back days, he was up twice, and he didn't recover. Okay.
And in the long run, that might be the right move because we know his injury history, right? But man, like, the guy didn't actually pitch in the series.
Gary says if you warm a guy up, you should use him. Yeah. Well, that's generally the plan for sure. And I saw Nick saying in the live YouTube chat here on the CHGO Cubs YouTube channel, everybody's yelling about Counsell and everybody's yelling about Hottovy, but what about Hoyer? No, nobody on this show is letting that off. Like that's what we're saying. I feel like the bullpen has more depth than it has. Mm-hmm. But you cannot deny the fact that we still kept asking for one more guy, whether it was Yates or whether it was Finnegan or whether it was Robertson or
who's
name
still
the guy
out there. You could still go get Robertson.
Add the list of guys that are out there, right? Like just continue on down. And either the Dodgers were getting them or the Cubs weren't.
Yeah. And
I don't know what to say.
The optics regarding the Bellinger salary dump make it look even worse because
Cody Petit was supposed to be part of this bullpen,
right? And he didn't. I mean, what he
got some cash considerations.
He was one of the first players sent to minor league camp in the spring. We trade him to the Orioles for cash considerations. So looking forward to another era of consideration of cash. And listen, I have justified the Bellinger trade because roster-wise, it never made sense to me if Kyle Tucker was on this team. But that doesn't mean that you didn't have to spend that money. And you were at a point now, even 5 games in, I feel like this is fair to say, that they still need another arm. There's got to be someone out there you can go get. I'm pretty sure David Robertson isn't even on a team. Why? I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, either it's an in-season, like, I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm jumping way too far into the overreaction there by saying, like, you can do something about this, but
the only overreaction would be somebody saying Rizzo is available out of the pen. He's still out there. He still doesn't have a team. Yeah. We'll talk more about the highs and lows of this series in just a second. But first, the highs of Bet 365.
Bet 365 is live in Illinois. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet 365. New customers now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Win or lose, sign up, use the code CHGO365, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. For MLB, hey, you could have perhaps taken the Diamondbacks today, and then you could have been really disappointed. But, they came back and won. You could have been the Cubs, and I think, did they ever get up to 5 runs? I don't think they got up to 5 runs. But either way, I think it was Thursday you could have taken the Cubs and when they were up by 5 runs, I believe, in that game.
They had a 5-run lead in this game.
And one of these games in the series, the Cubs were up five runs and they didn't win by 5. But the point is that you win your bet early. That way you don't have to sweat out this bullpen, all right? So with that early payout offer, you're a winner if your team goes ahead 5 runs with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. Again, download that app and use code CHGO365 and you sign up. New customers use that code and deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get $150 off in bonus bets for if your bet wins or loses. The bonus bets can be used in spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be assessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER. Kyle Tucker, Seiya Suzuki, total bases today, cashed. That was the good news for me today.
Speaking of cash, finances can be messy and confusing. Monarch Money acts like your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control so you can stop earning and start growing. It's more than your average budgeting app. Monarch Money is a complete financial command center for your accounts, your investments, and your goals. Don't just manage your money. Start building wealth with 50% off your first year for our listeners. With all your accounts, credit cards, and investments all in one place, you know where your money stands without the hassle. Named Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app in 2025. Get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use the code CHGO, that's us, CHGO, at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code CHGO. Cubs blow a game today, 8 runs in the 8th inning, 10-6. The Diamondbacks come back and win it. Cubs had a 3-1 series lead, all but wrapped up, only to salvage the split, is all you can say. You know, like, They had the split no matter what, and 3-1 was right in their hands. It was a perfect opportunity to beat a team that you might be competing with at the end of the season for a playoff spot, and they flat out gave one away. Anthony Rizzo, by the way, got to be statistically one of the better relievers in Cubs history.
To go with that, though, you can objectively look at this series before what happened in the 8th inning.
Yes.
You can objectively look at this series and say, wow, this Cubs team could be better than what, any pessimistic person might think.
Cody, I had a whole section. I'd like to do lowlights and highlights of this series now. Mm-hmm. I didn't have that many lowlights. My lowlights were like the start of the series for Seiya Suzuki and Tyone. Now the lowlights section is catching up to that highlights section. It's a downer that it was the final game of the series too, because you're right. There were so many good vibes coming out of this series against a really good team,
especially after the Saturday game. It's just whether you take the vibes part out, take that out of it, the vibes part, like they played good baseball through that. And just, the Friday game was a little bit of a clunker, right? Tyone just didn't have it. but you actually got some decent outings from the bullpen in that game, and your offense showed up and scored runs for you this series. You know, you score 6 runs today. You should win a game when you score 6 runs.
With
right?
3 home runs.
Right. Matt Shaw hits his first career homer last night. Kyle Tucker hits his first home run as a Cub yesterday.
Didn't blow that game.
Right?
To be honest with you.
Well, yeah. And the bullpen is literally the only thing from this series that I'm like, that's something there's something that's got to change. Someone's got to be demoted and maybe brought in with someone else, like to mix and match or something. Especially if we're already here and we can't use Merriweather because he got up and throwing. Again, I know that's
listen. We have to be realistic about this too. We can't sit here and say, "Well, the Cubs were 3 innings away from a 3-1 series lead." They were also one Dansby Swanson great play defensively away from losing 3 out of 4.
Sure, yeah.
They played great, but the bullpen almost cost them the last 2 games. Presley last night, 2 innings, 6 hits, or in the series, 2 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 1 home run. Here's Eli Morgan good versus Eli Morgan bad. On Friday, an inning and 2/3, 1 hit, 3 strikeouts, no runs. This game, 2/3 of an inning, 6 hits, 6 earned runs. And again, Pearson was lucky to get out of some stuff. You cannot walk the leadoff guy in 4 straight innings, 3 times by the bullpen.
Yeah, Boyd was the other one.
But in general, they're walking way too many guys.
Yeah,
period.
You're right.
Like Shota was great again, but even the starters have been walking too many guys.
Yeah, Boyd had 3 walks today.
Boyd had 3 walks, so that's how it adds up to 9.
Yeah, and so it's very. The Morgan thing is him giving up 6 runs today was surprising based off what he did in his previous outing and what I had seen in the spring. So maybe this is just one of those games. I don't know. Pearson is a guy we've seen multiple times now. He has great stuff. Throws gas, can touch 100, right? Struggles with command. How many Cubs relievers have we sat here and talked about has great stuff but struggles with command? Pearson is another version of Daniel Palencia, it feels like right now.
Right now, they seem like the same player.
Thielbar, I give him credit. The first inning he came in, he got out of it,
but then he comes in and walks the leadoff, man, the next inning.
Well, it was crazy with Thielbar, though. He came in, he walked a guy, and thankfully there was a base open, and it allowed Suarez to come up, who killed you the entire series, allowed Eugenio Suarez to come up. He strikes him out, and then he gets a ground out to get out of the inning, but then he starts the next inning walking the next 2 guys, and that leads to the downfall, right? So Thielbar, in his first appearance in the series, he had a 1-2-3 inning, but I think 2 of the 3 hits were warning track flyouts hit over 100 miles per hour. So he got lucky a little bit that they didn't fly out. So even he's been a little shaky. Hodge is literally the only one that I'm like, okay, I feel confident that we can get 3 outs here late in the game. Presley, the only thing I'll say about Presley, everyone's saying Nearest 2.0. I'll say this about Presley yesterday. After he gave up the 2-run homer to whoever it was, it's not like he walked guys. Yeah, he gave up a few hits, and Dansby saved him. But I think with Nearest, whenever things would go wrong with Nearest, he would start walking dudes. So it's not really, like, that's my silver lining, is that he's not really walking a ton of dudes. That's my silver lining for Presley. I'm not saying that I feel confident with him right now, but that's my one silver lining for him, is that he's not walking guys.
By the way, I saw Hector Neris gave up a home run the other day.
What team is he on now?
And I think it might have been to Gavin Sheets. It was like a Chicago versus Chicago.
So he's on the A's or the Angels?
Yes.
Gavin Sheets is not on the White Sox anymore.
Gavin Sheets is gone.
I don't know where he's at. But.
Gavin Sheets was Padres.
Okay.
Padres is Gavin Sheets.
Whoever the Padres play this weekend, I don't know off the top of my head.
Hey, Kevin.
Braves.
They'll fix him. They're going to fix him.
Yeah. Kevin's here. He wants to join.
Kevin Wells is here.
Hi, guys.
For the therapy session. Welcome.
Would you like to yell some?
You should start by saying, hi, my name is Kevin. I'm here for therapy.
Hi, my name is Kevin. I've checked into Cody's rage therapy. That was a frustrating one. I'm not here to yell about it's early in the year. You lost to a really good team. The frustrating thing for me is that it's a National League team that is going to be in the wild card picture. You had a 4-run lead late, and you blew it again. We had this happen a lot last year, and I think it's easy to get caught now in the relays of last year and the bullpen implosions, the 8-0 lead to the Padres, who are in the wild card picture. You blow that early. But let's pump the brakes just a little bit. The Diamondbacks led the league in scoring last year. They're a great offensive team. They made the playoffs for a reason last year. Is it a win that you should have had? Yeah, but it's early, and your bullpen's not fully stretched out yet. Craig Counsell had 3 guys I saw. Did you guys mention Julian Merriweather wasn't available today? I mean, his hands are kind of tied there. However, giving up 8 runs in an inning with these walks, that's a problem. That can't happen. You can't walk the leadoff hitter multiple innings in a row and expect nothing to happen to you. Hard hit percentage or hard hits with the Diamondbacks are going to happen. That lineup is loaded, man. They're a really good baseball team. Yeah. So,
which is why you can't walk them 9 times in a game.
Yeah, right. You don't win many games. I think the most frustrating thing is you got home runs from your 3 home runs today. Your 3 best players hit home runs today, and Kyle Tucker's came in a huge spot because it gave you a little bit of breathing room going into the later innings. Allows Counsell to maybe, hey, we'll give Thielbar 2 innings. Gives them a little bit more flexibility, and you still lose the game. I think that
and a shutout
sucks.
From your number 4 starter.
Yeah. Matthew Boyd was really good today. I was impressed with him. No earned runs from him today. And this is not, again, Kyle Hendricks is one of my favorite Cubs of all time, but it took him until June to have that first start in which he gave up no earned runs. So the back end of your rotation, the floor is raised. If you look back at April and May last year, 5 earned runs, 6 earned runs, 7 earned runs, 3 innings pitched, 2 innings pitched, 5. This Matthew Boyd had a lot today in terms of the fastball velocity was sitting at 92 a lot last year. The hints of the 94, 95, and then being able to drop it down to 78, 70. I saw 72 on a curveball. Mm-hmm. That's going to be really deceptive. That's something you didn't have available to you at the end of your rotation last year. So impressed with Matthew Boyd today. He looked good. If he can give you 5 innings consistently, that's awesome. I mean,
Kevin, everything about this game was awesome until the 8th inning.
Yeah, they played a really good game today. And that's why defensively too. Pete again.
Yeah, and it's that's why it's so frustrating that we're sitting here talking about a loss because you did everything right to win the game except execute at the very end. And if Presley and Hodge and Merriweather weren't available, even if they didn't give up 10 runs in the 8th inning, I have no idea who would have closed this game, dude. No idea.
I'm not sure either.
And if we would have known ahead of time, you told me at first pitch that Merriweather, Hodge, and Presley weren't going to be available to pitch in this game, I would have immediately hammered Diamondbacks money line.
And if you're Craig Counsell
on Bet365,
and you know that you don't have Merriweather, Brazier's hurt, Morgan pitched on Friday.
Tyson Miller's hurt.
Yeah. Miller's hurt.
Yeah.
Assman's hurt.
Yeah.
You know these things, and you know the Diamondbacks are this good team. To see your pitchers come in and walk the leadoff guy, the bullpen, 3 straight innings, it's mind-numbing because everything was going right. You have the incredible throw in this series from PCA from center field to third base that likely saves a run. You have PCA beating the throw to second base on Thursday, making these small plays, these electric plays, even though today he was terrible at the plate.
He was, yeah.
You have Dansby saving the game last night. Like I said, they could have lost 3 out of 4. And then the home run in this game that he absolutely crushed. You have Kyle Tucker in the last 2 games of this series go 4 for 7, 5 RBI, 2 home runs. It should have been in 2 wins. You had your superstar player do exactly what you have asked him to come here and do. And yet the bullpen was the same problem. Amaya played 3 games, 4 hits, 6 RBI.
Another hit today. Yeah.
All those things tell you this team should have won 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
And so that's why Cubs fans are frustrated. It's early in the season, but that doesn't make it any easier to swallow at this time.
It's not that I don't agree with you when you're saying it's early, this and that. However, we all know that we will look back at this game if they miss the playoffs. And this is in the folder of you gave this game away.
Oh, 100%.
Unless it's just one of 20, 25 more to come like this.
If so, I'm going to be making a lot of trips to Taco Bell.
That's the issue, right? You're right. I'm not.
And
the cliche
I'm not
that
saying,
it's early.
I'm not even saying what you're saying is wrong. Like, you are
correct.
It's
factual. What he's saying is totally factual.
Right. There are a lot of games, and they could easily bounce back tomorrow against the A's and take that series, and you go back to beautiful, historic Wrigley Field with a split and a series win. In 4 days, we could be thinking completely different about this team, and that's the beauty of baseball and everything. But at the same time, when you think in long term, this team the last 2 years has had too many losses where you come away feeling like you should have won.
Oh, I totally agree. And I'm not – I hate to be the it's early guy. But
I didn't expect you to be, considering how mad you were on the couch.
I'm pretty frustrated because and I said this last year and mentioned it right when I hopped in. It's because it's against a National League contending team. Right. You had a chance to take 3 out of 4 in their house. You don't play them as much. You won't have as many opportunities with the schedule change that went into effect last year. You don't have as many games to make up against these contending teams. I would have much rather had these blow-ups happen against the Oakland A's or the Sacramento A's in a team that doesn't matter in your playoff seeding in the long run. This game will come back to mean something at the end of it. And I think that's where my frustration is coming into play here.
Yeah. Don't say the A's because they're next, and it still could happen. We'll talk more about that in a second. Plus, I have a bit of good news for you. But first, I'm guessing a lot of Cubs fans might head to Sunnyside tonight. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your summer, a one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. Sunnyside is Illinois' favorite dispensary with locations in the city, Wrigleyville, and River North, all the way to the suburbs, Champaign, South Beloit, and more. So if you're starting out, Sunnyside has expert guidance and brands they know you'll love, like Good News and Mindy's. If you're a pro, then they've got you covered with over 100 strains on the menu and new ones added every single day. Visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. You heard me right. Half off your first 3 online purchases. Enter the promo code HICHGO to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 and older or Illinois medical card holders.
Whatever the sport, the app to bet is Circa Sports Illinois. Circa Sports, it's sports betting the way it should be. Circa Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. Bet on all your favorite teams in every game. The season spreads, props, futures, or in-game. Circa Sports has it. Fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. We got the Final Four set. We got more.
All one seeds.
All one seeds. We do have all one seeds, yes. We have that. We have so many more baseball games to bet. You can live bet on there every time you know the Cubs bullpen is about to come in and ruin your life. You can bet the other team to get through the pain of this team sometimes. You can do it all on Circa Sports. All right, so download that new bookie today at circasports.com. And you must be 21 or older. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Wait,
I saw
did Michigan State win today? Who won?
No, they lost.
Oh,
yeah, all
that's
number
good.
one
I had them
seeds.
losing in Elite 8. Okay, never mind. Good.
I saw Carter in there. We're missing a voice of reason. I'll be the voice of reason. There's 3 really good pitchers on the injured list right now in your bullpen. Mm-hmm. Tyson Miller, really good.
He was last
Ryan
year.
Brazier, pretty good. Like that, it's just
Brazier. I
namaste.
agree.
I'm trying that. I was upset over there earlier because I'm always hesitant when you trade for good pitchers from organizations that are really good at developing pitching. Mm. But I took an hour. I did the White Sox show. I breathed. And
he
now
produced
I'm here,
the White Sox show, so he breathed.
And I was like, it could be worse. Let's just leave it. Yeah,
plus
exactly.
all the cannabis that was Sunnyside cannabis that was in there.
So
I Cody, I'm surprised you're this composed.
Well, the reason that I am, I guess, whatever, is because I'm at a point where it's make or break, dude. This is like everyone in the chat's talking about Craig Counsell or whoever. It's like Jed Hoyer put the team together. And as much as I think Jed Hoyer had a much better offseason than last offseason, he still and the fact that we're just trying to break even every year, he still has been given more money to put the roster together than anyone else in this division. And we're still sitting here talking about the same things, man. So it's like I said in first segment, Luke. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Like, when are we going to get this correct, dude? That's the thing. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, brother. Like, that's what it is. I can go on and on about how, you know, we got to do this or they got to do this and they got to do that to get things right. But it is make or break. If things do, if the worst case scenario that I said when we did the season preview show, which was trade Kyle Tucker at the trade deadline, if that scenario plays out because this team sucks going into the end of July, we know that the guy at the top isn't going to be here, as in Jed Hoyer. We know he won't be here whenever, right?
And I don't think they suck. They played a pretty good series.
No, I agree. I don't think this team sucks. Outside of what we saw in the last 2 innings of this baseball game, this
outside
series they displayed
from
good.
The bullpen.
Yes.
The bullpen the last 2 games is the big concern.
Yes.
Agreed.
So that's what's honestly giving me or holding me upright in terms of just instead of blowing at a gasket and going off and doing what I normally do, is that the thought of, yes, we're 5 games in, and then also the thought of, like, for most of the series, I felt like the Cubs played as well as they could have against a really good team.
Mm-hmm.
They got to get the bullpen figured out, and they have to execute in these moments. They can't walk dudes. They just have to. You have to make the playoffs this year. You have, whether you make the playoffs via the wild card in some magical way because this division ended up being way better than anyone expected or not. Whether you got to get into October, and if you don't, then changes are coming. And I really don't want to sit here and watch those changes come, because if that happens, then we might be sitting through a third rebuild in 15 years. I don't. That's a lot of things would have to go wrong, right? A lot of things would have to go wrong, but I just personally don't want to think about that because that just makes me very, very depressed. So I'm trying to have a level head right now, and think about,
no need to think about it.
It's April 1st on Tuesday, so we got to start winning games consistently. This bullpen's got to figure it out, and that's the bottom line, brother.
I've got good news. I've got good news.
I'm not sure I understand.
Siri, I've got good
doesn't
news. Cody's got Siri turned up. Here's the good news. The Brewers are 0-3. And the Yankees have figured out a way to use one of these new bats. Torpedo bats. Geez, I don't know how you could hit 15 home runs with this thing. They're using the torpedo bat. They hit 15 home runs. 36 runs they scored against the Brewers. Maybe the Brewers aren't so good. And by the way, maybe everybody on the Cubs should start using the old torpedo bat.
And Nico Horner was this weekend.
Nico's was using it. It is legal. The Athletic wrote an article about it. Rule 3.02, the bat shall be smooth, round stick, not more than 1.61 inches at the thickest part, and not more than 41 inches in length, one solid piece of wood. So the new bat basically tries to put the most weight it can right at the barrel. Now, I don't know how that's possible. Nobody's thought of that before, but it sure seems to be working for the Yankees. Even Cody Bellinger hit one like 450 feet.
And Cody Bellinger had them available in the Cubs organization last
crazy.
Spring training.
But
And
didn't
he
like it, huh?
didn't like the way it felt, but he liked the way the Yankees bat felt. There's weight distribution. When you think about it, when you're holding a bat, it's essentially close to choking up. When you have the more the weight close to your hands, that's like when a guy chokes up because they're trying to shorten up their swing. So, however, I would like to see them side by side, but the Cubs and every other organization now has this available to them. It's a legal rule. We saw Nico using it. I think that there will be more guys to come that will use this when they go into slumps. But it is interesting that Bellinger's like, hey, I really like this Yankees bat. It feels so much better because I'm going to stick with my other bat. And then he jacks one 450 feet.
Now,
he didn't hit a 450-foot home run last year.
No, what I'm not
hit
sure
one
is
since 2019.
Yeah.
So the bats, the torpedo bat was designed and the idea came from an MIT graduate, a physics professor who's now in baseball, right? So is it the same bat? Did the Cubs have the exact same bat for Bellinger? Clearly not, because he thought the Yankees one felt slightly different. And how long before? If the Yankees are hitting home runs like this, and they're not named Aaron Judge,
who's not using one.
Who's not using one because he doesn't need to.
Yeah, he's fine.
Because he's like Jack and the Beanstalk up there, like. Then how long before everybody in baseball is using this?
Well, I know. Well,
or is it just a coincidence? Maybe the Brewers' pitching is that bad.
Well, I do think that it was a bad series from the Brewers, and if you want silver linings, folks in the chat, you want to look at things without fully viewed in on just the Cubs. Like, Brewers had a terrible weekend, and torpedo bats aren't the reason that the Yankees scored all those runs. All right, so
if we could get Vidal Brujan talking to Sammy Sosa again and a torpedo bat,
perhaps
he might hit 60.
Perhaps. But
if we could get Esteban Quiros back and get him that torpedo bat, his career would be revitalized.
Do you guys remember when Theo Epstein talked about how there needs to be more ways to even out the playing field for hitters too? Another reason, I know there's been a lot of backlash on Twitter, including Brewers closer Trevor McGill saying, oh, they'll let it slide because it's the Yankees. No, they're going to let it slide because it's legal and every team can use them, dude.
There was someone for Nico, but also there's someone for the Twins. I saw John Boy tweet out.
But also, pitching has had the upper hand for the last decade, man. Look at guys like Paul Skeens right now. Look at guys like Yoshinobu Yamamoto. We should absolutely, as fans of the game, as people studying the game, as trying to find the competitive advantage, that's what sports is. Like, we should be this like, oh, wow, cool. A competitive advantage for hitters? Like, that's great. We need more of that.
It's like the PG version of steroids.
Sure, yeah. The healthy version, yeah.
I thought
they should.
I guess
we should stop criticizing Sammy Sosa for using the court bat now.
I would like to know which team had it first.
Yeah, I know.
Like, because we're saying, Bellinger saw it with the Cubs last year, but didn't want to use it.
I didn't hear this news. Where did you read that?
I read that on ESPN.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I read that on ESPN
Because
article.
my whole thing, on a serious note about it, my whole thing about it was like, why is this just now becoming a thing?
So
where was this 10 years ago?
Weren't they using it in spring training? They had to have been.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about it to this point, but yeah, it's interesting.
The article says Bellinger was first presented with the torpedo-shaped concept in batting practice last season with the Chicago Cubs. He did not use it. He was given a more advanced version during spring training this year. I started swinging one this year in spring, kind of early on, and I was like, oh, it feels pretty good. It was an ounce lighter than the one I was swinging, but I think the weight was distributed. It felt really good. So, I mean, anybody who's played baseball and swung a bat, when you like the big barrel, I remember when you go from Little League to travel or high school and you can use a bigger barrel, it obviously feels different. So this is going to be, as long as it's in the confines of what MLB allows, your swing pattern might change a little bit, but shoot, man, I mean, if that unlocks Cody Bellinger, which again, let's not jump off the ledge just yet, but I mean, it's pretty impressive if he can hit. Anytime you can hit a ball 450 feet and you haven't done that in 5-6 seasons, I mean, there's probably something to the bat assisting you in a way.
Sure.
So, right.
But I don't know. I wonder who had it first. Yeah.
I'll just say with what you just said that I'm pro for it, because you're right. As fans of the game, I do think offense is what brings people to baseball or just sports in general. Now, I don't want offense in baseball to get to the point where it kind of feels like it is with the NBA or anything like that, or even the NFL with how they throw flags. But
I don't need home runs to be the 3-point shot in the NBA.
Exactly. And sometimes it feels like that until they implemented those rules with the pitch clock and the bigger bases,
for
the
more
pizza
boxes at second base,
and all those new rules they implemented. It created more chaos on the base paths, which creates more excitement for the game, right? So they have implemented new rules that have made it more exciting, and it doesn't feel like launch angle is just be all or all be all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like them just because it does potentially can increase offense, and let's just be honest, man, like. That if you're going to create new fans, you have to do that. So that's just kind of how I feel.
Yeah. When's the next scientist going to show Cubs bullpen arms how to not walk guys? Because that's the next invention we need.
Yeah.
And I think with the bullpen too today, the one thing I wanted to mention about Nate Pearson, he on paper and just kind of watching him throw 100 miles an hour looks great on paper, but it seems to me, and I'd love for Brendan to dive into this at some point for us, the fastball looks a little flat to me, and I think that is leading to him getting absolutely annihilated by some of these left-handed hitters. Mm-hmm. And if he can't get it going, it's a bummer, because you look at anybody who throws 100 miles an hour, you would think that you could at least get a salvageable relief appearance out of him, but he struggled, and he did get squeezed a lot today too. With his margin for error already so slim, not getting certain off-speed calls at the top of the zone and not getting certain fastballs at the bottom of the zone called, I mean, that's really going to hurt a guy like that. And it did today. The walks absolutely crushed him.
And wasn't that him that we said about the same thing about the other day? It was like, wow, they didn't help him any. But it's like when you're that erratic with your command,
yeah,
those calls are going to go against you most of the time. That's the way it works.
He did have a few calls that were borderline that he didn't get, but yeah, that's what happens when you're not, your command isn't great. So
just disappointing.
If he can find a way to command the fastball, I think that he can be a real difference maker, especially if he can command it. And I think he can get away with some in the middle of the plate because of that velocity, but there's got to be better command, because he walked the leadoff hitter in every inning that he started. And also, based off the information we were given after the game, it made sense why he came out for the second inning, because we all sat at the table and we were debating, like, who's coming in now, because there's no way Pearson should come back out for that second inning. And then when I said, bold move by Counsell, if he comes out for the second inning, of course he comes back out.
Yeah.
We learned post-game only a handful of guys are available. And it's just like, well, I guess you go out there with the guy that throws the most gas, and we'll see what happens. And he just could not command the baseball at all on a consistent basis.
I understand if going into this game you found out Merriweather was not available because of what happened the previous two games. Okay, I understand that. But it was a 4-game series, and to me, he's your he can be one of your best high leverage guys when he's at his best. And so if you're playing a 4-game series against the Diamondbacks, I can't find a scenario where I can't get Julian Merriweather into the game. Like, I want to see him pitch in this series. He didn't pitch in a game. Instead, he was just throwing in the bullpen twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, that sounds like
something sounds wrong.
He just wasn't fully stretched out and ready to go,
Which also,
he's dealt with a lot of injuries. That's what that probably says to me.
That also bugs me a little bit, Kevin, because I don't understand why pitchers, and this is every year, but I don't understand why the pitchers aren't stretched out and ready to go when the season starts. I don't understand it.
Could it have been the Japan thing this year?
I'm not saying Merriweather. Even the Japan thing shouldn't be an excuse. When you're isn't that the way that works? The rest of the world, we know what day our job starts. When the job starts, I'm 100%. So if I need to start working out in November, I start working out in November to build up that strength. I don't get why. I know it's a long season, but I don't get why we're on these pitch counts and guys aren't fully stretched out. I thought we started 2 weeks early because we were going to Japan.
Yeah.
That's what I was told.
That's what they said.
That's what they told us in the press conference. Carter Hawkins interrupted Jed and was like, but everybody's going to be ready because all these guys were here early and they all knew they had to be ramped up early. I'm not saying it's a player thing. It might be an organization thing. It might be a baseball thing. I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
It's a reasonable ask, right? We're all expected to show up and do our jobs. I think with the injury history that he's had and with the general organization philosophy of winning on the margins and having to be healthy to be successful this year, they could be looking at it in a long-term thing. But I tend to fall more on your side on this. Every game matters, and especially, I'll say it again, it matters when you're playing a National League contender. Yeah. It's a good lineup. You should have your best relievers in there. Him not being in there in this series tells me he wasn't ready to go. He's telling Craig, hey, something doesn't feel right. I don't need the IL. But again, we've talked about the Cubs and using the IL before too.
Yeah.
What if that move comes before the A's series? Who
if
knows?
Merriweather is on the injured list, like if they put him on the injured list tomorrow,
Well, that's what I'm worried
I will.
about.
I mean,
knock on wood, I am worried
I mean,
that he wasn't available. The word was he didn't bounce back after getting up twice the last 2 days. Okay. I hope he doesn't end up on the injured list for the start of the series against the A's.
Yeah. And I say that I would laugh. It's not because of the detriment of him. It's just more of like, it's so Cubs.
yeah, because you could have used another reliever in this. You could have used Daniel Palencia. I know he struggles with command too, but you could have used another arm instead of throwing out, another 2 innings.
So now they go on to face the A's. We will see Ben Brown make his start. That is tomorrow's game, although I heard it's like a 90% chance of rain in Sacramento.
Okay.
At 9
So
p.m.
if we are doing a post-game show, assuming there's a game, we're going to do it remotely tomorrow because who knows when it's going to end if this game is slow to start. I don't know. 90% chance of rain doesn't sound great.
It's crazy. I have family who live in Sacramento, and all they tell me about is how it never rains.
It never rains. Yeah. Well, it sounds like it's going to rain tomorrow.
Yeah.
I do want to remind people real quickly, since we got about 10 minutes until the show is over, is that we are currently 199 subscribers away from our new shirt drop. And if we get to 1,500 subscribers, you guys will receive that 4th shirt.
Oh, we'll get a peek at the 4th shirt.
You get a peek at the 4th shirt.
I do like this 3rd one that's coming out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first 2 are for sale.
This takes me back to my 80s Cubs.
I do
79 Cubs.
But we need more subscribers.
Off the stripe.
I know there's a lot of people in the CHGO Sports channel. They need to head over to the CHGO Cubs channel because it will not always be available on the CHGO Sports channel. Eventually, we're going to permanently be over at CHGO Cubs. So subscribe now and like. And we just need more subscribers.
Yeah.
We need more.
Check out the content. The new channel, with it being just CHGO Cubs, allows us to spread the wings a little bit, put out stuff, and it doesn't get lost. Because the Bears channel is so big, it doesn't get lost. Not every Cubs fan is a Bears fan. Not every Bears fan is a Cubs fan. Not every Sox fan is a Blackhawks fan, all that stuff. So when the Bears are getting ready for a draft, Cubs content doesn't get lost in your feed. You can just go right to the CHGO Cubs page.
Sure. Yeah. That's the exact point. Yeah.
Super easy to find, too.
Yeah.
CHGO Cubs right there.
So like you were saying, we got
Ben Brown we get tomorrow for game 1 of the series. Then you get Steele and Tyone, and then Shota after the day off on Thursday. You get Shota Friday 120 Club, first one for the home opener.
That's giving me a little bit of upswing happiness. That Tyone was Friday home game. Shota's going to pitch.
I'm more excited. I'll be honest. I'm more excited about seeing Ben Brown in tomorrow's game than I am. I guess I'm a little anxious about Steele and Tyone in games 2 and 3 of that series. I trust them to bounce back this season.
Yeah.
But neither's been great at the start of the year, right? Tyone's first start wasn't spectacular, and Steele has been, well, it looks like a guy who had the flu pretty bad.
I'll say this about Tyone. I think the Diamondbacks are just a bad matchup.
You give up 2 home runs?
To Suarez, yeah. He actually, outside of Suarez, he wasn't that he wasn't that bad. You can't give up 2 homers to Eugenio Suarez, who has killed you his entire career. But I actually feel fine about Tyone. And what I mean by Tyone and how I feel fine is that he's going to end up being what my expectation is, which is somewhere between a 4 and a 5 starter. And if Matthew Boyd pitches like he did today, he's going to be higher in that rotation than Tyone, which is fine with me. Right? I still think that if all things play out the way that I hope, they add another starter before the trade deadline. That's a conversation that we've had all winter, and we will continue to have all season. Not the point right now. But, yeah, Steele, he wasn't that great in his first start or his last start, but also playing one of the better offenses. Going up against an A's team that has started off really nicely and making me and you look kind of smart right now when we said that we think they're going to make the playoffs. But their offense is not as good as the Diamondbacks. So I'm looking forward to seeing him bounce back. Now, it'll be interesting to see how he pitches at this ballpark that I would guess he's never pitched at before, right? And I'm interested to see how this team in general just plays at this ballpark that they've never played at before, unless, they did in the minors, some of these guys.
Right.
So that's a big thing that, just kind of gives me a big question mark. But Ben Brown tomorrow at 9 p.m., I mean, I've been advocating for him to be, since the beginning of the spring and seeing how they're using him. I'm like, yeah, you either use him as a high leverage reliever or you make him a starter. They chose to make him a starter. I'm excited to see what he can do. I think he has the highest ceiling of any of the young starters that they have in the organization. So let's see it. I'm excited for it.
The players have to take the disappointment of letting 3 out of 4 in Arizona slip through their fingers, and they got to flush it.
Yeah.
They have to flush it. Now, whether you as a fan want to go ahead and flush it too, that's however you want to Cub. I don't know if I can flush it that quickly, but we'll find out when we do a show tomorrow.
Well, the good news is, again, and this is just a big picture, you still split the series.
Which was our goal, but that's why
the goal.
I'm a little...
But I'm with you,
yes,
and
I know.
I'm not even saying I disagree. I'm with you. I'm just saying that it's better than losing 3 of 4. The Diamondbacks are a good team, but now you got the A's, who I think are on the upswing in terms of being a competitive team, but you're better than them.
Yes.
To me, there's no excuse in going into Sacramento and not winning that series.
Well, at least they'll be used to playing in a minor league park all season. Everybody that comes in and has to play them is going to be like,
yeah,
what's with the clubhouse?
Right.
What's this going on?
Right.
What kind of spread is this? Hot dogs from the concessions?
Yeah.
What are we going to do about Call Your Cub today? Who you got has been renamed Call Your Cub.
I had Horner. I
had Justin Turner,
and you had PCA.
I had Pete. Threw a guy out at the plate. Another really, really great throw.
He did, but he was not good.
No, not good at the plate. Not good at the plate today, but man, his defense is really showing me a lot. I'm super excited. He didn't win. I didn't win.
He also
today.
did drop the ball in the comeback in the outfield.
You know what we could do to make like
on Karam?
Yeah.
And
he bobbled it. I don't know if they would have scored it anyway.
We might have discussed this in the past, but we could just choose a player for every series. They have to be your guy for the series.
For the whole series.
Yeah. Like, we could just scratch this because I don't think either one of us won today. But, like, moving forward, we could just choose a player for each series.
That would be good for those who don't check the chat as often.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Call your Cub.
Sometimes I'm a little late on that.
So you want to make the rules that Call Your Cub for the series.
It might make it easier. That way I don't have to fight with you every day.
Well, we're still going to have to revisit and update the statistics.
Well,
for how
does that mean I won then? Because I took Pete Crow-Armstrong on opening day.
No, it didn't mean nobody
and
would
he
win
had
today.
a great series.
We would just scratch this, and it would just be me 1-0.
Why? Because I won? Because he had Pete had a great
remember.
series.
I don't even remember who I picked in that one game. But
Did you see that throw he made
Thursday?
The Thursday game? You took Hap.
Oh, I took Hap. Yeah, I took Hap.
Yeah, and he had a great game. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if any. I have made this argument before. There are games like today where there should be no winning.
Yeah.
Because it was that, like, we're going to have a throw to the plate, but a bad game at the plate.
Mm-hmm.
I had a walk.
Horner had a hit. He also had an error. Well, he should have been an error, but they gave Naylor a hit. Whatever.
I caught 3 pop-ups.
Yeah.
I kind of think we pretend it didn't even happen today.
So to scratch it, who are we taking for the series?
All right, so you want to make your series picks.
PCA,
we can do it right now.
PCA,
and it can't be a pitcher.
No pitcher.
It's just strictly a hitting.
Sorry.
This is for the A's.
No, you can pick.
Sorry,
the A series.
Yeah. Okay, I thought you were going back.
No, if you want to make, you're not going to be here tomorrow. If you want to make the pick for playing the A's, I mean, I'm going to take Kyle Tucker. He's on a tear. He's ready to go.
That's who I was going to pick. He looks good. No pitchers. I'll
go third. That's fine. Go ahead, Kevin.
You got to be fast, Cody.
No, I'm just playing. He's not going to be here. You're probably not going to be here till next Sunday, right? So
I'll be here on Wednesday.
You'll be here on Wednesday?
Yeah, I got the afternoon game.
So you'll be able to be here, and yeah. So let's hear it. Go ahead.
Give me Michael Busch.
Michael Busch. Okay.
Give me Michael Busch.
Okay.
Had a really good spring. Day off today. He'll be nice and fresh and rested for tomorrow.
Give me Nico Horner, Northern California.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. The Oakland native.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, give me Horner.
Hometown, sort of.
Also, before we get out of here, I have to just mention that I did call Kyle Tucker's first home run as a Cub.
You did.
Saw that.
And so anytime we're talking about Kyle Tucker the rest of the season, I'm going to remind you, Luke, because you like to remind me about being right about 83 wins at least a few times a week.
And Cody Bellinger, when he signed on the 24th day of the 24th hour of the 24th day.
So
and everybody said I was crazy. I'm like,
Luke
it's all a marketing
right.
ploy. Wait, they're going to do it on the 24th hour of the 24th day because he's number 24.
Oh, my God.
Hey, we have one more thing that goes with the new CHGO Cubs YouTube page. Should I call it a page or a channel?
Channel.
Yeah.
I kind of
That's
float
cool,
between the two,
cool
and then I heard
kids
somebody
say.
else say page, and I was like, all right.
Page is more like social media, like
It's a channel.
Instagram.
It's a YouTube channel. It's not a page. Okay. With the new CHGO Cubs YouTube channel.
There you go.
Okay. When you subscribe, as I've seen some of our loyal viewers and listeners doing in the chat today, which is the best way to enjoy our experience. Screenshot your subscription when you do it. Then add us on social media with that photo, okay? And you're instantly put in the running for what we have going right now. 2 tickets to the Friday 120 game against the Phillies on the 25th of April. So you'll sit with us, 2 tickets, 2 free Friday 120 shirts, and we have been guaranteed now also 2 hugs. 1 from Cody and 1 from Braggs. So 2 tickets, 2 shirts, 2 hugs. We will draw the winner coming up on Wednesday. But all you have to do is subscribe. That's free. Costs you 30 seconds of your life. Not even 10 seconds of your life. Go to the channel, hit the subscribe button, take a screenshot, and add us on Twitter. At most, all of that together would take 30 seconds. Absolutely. And you're in the running to be at the Friday 120 Club against the Phillies.
Yeah,
so you get to see Schwarber.
And turn those notifications on. Then you know when the show starts.
Turn the notifications on.
Barbara, that means you.
And the thumbs up. So always hit the thumbs.
We will be live. It'll tell you when we're live.
Yeah. Anyway.
Barb did it, though. I think she already...
Barb and Godfather figured it out. So
Barb's...
That means anybody.
I don't want to put an age, but I think it's like 84 for Barb.
Wow.
I thought she was in her 90s.
No, I believe Barb is in her 80s. Longtime Cubs fan. The fact that she has gone to YouTube and subscribed to 2 of our channels now.
Yeah.
That's why she's the godmother of the CHGO.
How many minutes
Cubs
do we have
podcast.
left, Sarah?
We got about a minute.
We have a minute? Okay.
Yeah.
My last minute is Jed Hoyer. He did a lot of good this offseason, and there's still the way it's going to age. There's plenty. It will go ups and downs. Kyle Tucker looks like a great trade right now. All I know is Cam Smith has 1 hit and 5 at-bats, okay? Sam Smith, sorry. I should add to the swear jar. So all I'm saying about Jed Hoyer is that he will be graded on if this team makes the playoffs or not. That's it. That's plain and simple. That's it. If they don't make the playoffs, I think he's getting fired. If they do make the playoffs, I think he's going to be here. So root for however you want to root, but a lot of the discourse in the chat today is just kind of like, dude, if they don't get the bullpen figured out, then yes, that a lot of that is on Jed. But the fact that they, if they don't extend Kyle Tucker, whether next offseason or whatever, that's on Tom, in my opinion, right? So I think finding a way to put blame where it belongs is correct. A lot of people want to blame Jed for a lot of the roster stuff, and I think he deserves some if they don't get this bullpen right. But I also like the way a lot of the roster is, and so I have to give Jed Hoyer some credit for that as well. So I'm just trying to give some perspectives to some people on the way out of this really depressing game.
Look at that. And who would have thought that would come from Cody Delmendo?
I want to give just one little perspective.
Growth.
Ben Brown could have a really bad game tomorrow.
Oh, boy.
Relax. Ben Brown could have a bad game tomorrow. He hasn't. He's been up in the bullpen. He's been in the starting rotation. He's been in the bullpen. Give it a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Just don't. I'm seeing a lot of Craig Counsell hate to.
You know what? I'm going to let it go. I'm going to flush it right now.
Yeah.
Because, as Godfather has pointed out, the Cubs were able to break even in Arizona. So
they did break even.
Pack your torpedo bats. We're going to Sacramento. We'll be here for the post-game show tomorrow at whatever hour it is in the morning. Until then, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the new YouTube channel. Until then, fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.